You make $100,000 a year. 10 years ago, that sentence meant something. It meant success. It meant you'd made it. It meant the game was basically over. Today, it mostly means you're tired. Here's the uncomfortable truth no one likes to say out loud. In 2026, a 100K salary doesn't make you rich. It barely makes you safe. And the scary part isn't that prices went up. It's how they went up. Quietly, systematically, while everyone was busy celebrating the number. Because $100,000 still sounds big. Six figures still triggers something deep in the brain. Recruiters know it. Parents know it. Your ego definitely knows it. But your bank account knows something else. Let's start with a simple scene. You're 28, or 32, or 35. You finally cross six figures. You feel proud. You should. You worked for it. Then life happens. Rent, insurance, car payment, groceries, a phone that costs more than your first laptop, subscriptions you forgot you had, a vacation you deserve because you're stressed all the time. Nothing extravagant, just normal. And somehow the money is already gone. Not wasted, not mismanaged, just absorbed. That's the part no one prepared you for, because the system didn't break, it upgraded. Go back to the early 2000s. A 100K salary back then put you in a different social universe. Median household income was under 45K. Housing was cheap relative to income. Healthcare costs were annoying, not terrifying. College debt existed, but it wasn't a life sentence. Six figures meant margin. Margin meant power. Today, median household income in many developed cities is still far below 100K, but the cost of existing has leapfrogged it. Housing didn't just rise, it disconnected. In many major cities, rent alone now eats 35 to 45% of a 100K pre-tax salary. That's before utilities, before parking, before the convenience fees that didn't exist 5 years ago. And yes, you could just move. That advice is always available. It's also increasingly fictional. Jobs cluster, opportunities cluster. And the places with opportunity are the places where 100K feels like entry-level survival. Then there's taxes. Six figures sounds big until the government takes first turn. Federal tax, state tax, payroll tax, local tax. That 100K quietly becomes 65K, sometimes 60K. Now do the math backward. 60K net, $5,000 a month. In 2026, $5,000 a month is not luxury, it's logistics. And here's where the trap really tightens. Because once you earn 100K, you're no longer allowed to struggle. You don't qualify for assistance. You don't get subsidies. You don't get forgiveness. You don't get sympathy. You're doing well. So when daycare costs more than rent used to, when health insurance deductibles feel like a ransom, when a single emergency wipes out a year of savings, it's your fault. At least that's the story. But the numbers tell a different one. The economy quietly redefined what middle class means without updating the labels. So people chase an outdated milestone, hit it, and then feel confused when nothing changes. Worse, when things get harder. Because lifestyle doesn't inflate all at once, it creeps. You don't wake up and decide to live expensively. You just start matching your environment. Your coworkers go out to eat. You go too. Everyone leases. So do you. The baseline shifts, and opting out starts to feel like failure instead of strategy. The irony is brutal. The higher your income climbs inside this range, the more expensive your normal becomes. And the system rewards that. Credit expands to meet your salary. Banks trust you more. Advertisers target you harder. You're offered comfort on installment. So you feel richer while becoming more fragile. This is why so many six-figure earners live paycheck to paycheck, not because they're reckless, but because the margin that used to exist at 100K has been engineered away. Not stolen, engineered. And this is only the surface, because the real shift isn't about rent or groceries or gas prices. It's about what 100K used to protect you from and no longer does. We haven't even touched the most dangerous part yet. That's coming next. Because here's what a 100K salary used to buy above all else: time, options, resilience. If something went wrong, you could absorb it. A job loss wasn't a cliff. A medical issue wasn't a financial death spiral. A bad year didn't erase the next decade. That buffer is gone. Not because people forgot how to budget, but because the risks got bigger while the pay stayed cosmetically impressive. Let's talk about volatility. Modern life is more fragile than it looks. Jobs aren't stable careers anymore. They're contracts with branding. Layoffs don't happen at the bottom, they happen everywhere, sometimes especially at the top. The same skill that earns you 100K also makes you expensive. So when companies tighten, you're not safe, you're visible. Now combine that with fixed costs that don't care if you're unemployed. Rent doesn't pause. EMIs don't pause. Insurance doesn't pause. Subscriptions definitely don't pause. A single income interruption can unravel years of progress. That's new. Then there's debt, the polite kind. Student loans that were good investments. Car loans with low monthly payments and long tails. Buy now, pay later, quietly stapled onto daily life. Individually, they're manageable. Collectively, they're a chokehold. And the math is unforgiving. A 100K earner might save $500 a month on paper, but one medical bill, one relocation, one family obligation, one economic hiccup, gone. So what's actually happening here? The economy didn't just get more expensive, it got more financialized. Every part of life became a product. Every product became a subscription. Every subscription became indexed to what people like you can afford. Income brackets became pricing signals. When companies see six figures, they don't see security, they see extraction potential. That's why premium is now the default, why basic options disappeared, why everything has a plus tier. You're not rich enough to own assets that appreciate, but you're rich enough to be charged like you do. That's the gap. Real wealth today isn't about income, it's about leverage and insulation. Assets that grow faster than inflation, costs that don't scale with your salary, time that isn't fully rented out. Most 100K earners have none of those. They trade time for money, then trade money to maintain access to systems that keep getting more expensive. It's a treadmill that speeds up just enough to exhaust you, but not enough to throw you off. And here's the most uncomfortable contrast. Social media still frames 100K as winning, as aspirational, as the finish line. So when people hit it and still feel anxious, tired, and behind, they internalize the failure. They think, if this isn't enough, something must be wrong with me. That belief is incredibly useful. It keeps people grinding harder inside a system that doesn't need them to understand it, just participate. Zoom out. If 100K is no longer rich, and 200K is often just comfortable but exposed, what does that say about where the middle actually is? What does it mean for an entire generation raised to chase a number that quietly lost its power? And more importantly, if income milestones can decay this fast, what other financial assumptions are already obsolete but still being sold as truth? That question doesn't have a clean answer, and that's the point. Because the most dangerous thing about 100K in 2026 isn't that it's not rich, it's that it still pretends to be. And pretending is how people stay stuck.